Dude, honestly, I never thought to see the day that Xdefiant would shut down. Damn, dude, it's funny because like the team that they said, they literally said we're not shutting down. Don't worry about it. We have plenty of plans and everything like that. And Lord and behold, dude, Xdefiant is fucking shutting down. That is the most craziest news I've ever heard. And we all know who to blame for this, chat. We all know who to blame for this. It's Ubisoft. Ubisoft is in the news again. Wow, every single fucking week we always talk about Ubisoft for some apparent reason. It's just Ubisoft is just making all the wrong moves, you know? Every single time. But anyways, let's go take a look, shall we? Because our good old friend Nero Cinema has posted. Granted, of course, you know, Aspen Gold here does, but you know, we're gonna take a look at what Mr. Nero Cinema has to say about this. I'm curious. I am so curious.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Xdefiant. One of my final Xdefiant videos here in the channel, unfortunately, because the game is being shut down. This news came out literally 10 minutes ago. Xdefiant is done. They are sunsetting the game. It's going to get one more update where they add all the Season 3 content, and then on June 3rd, it's going to shut down forever. Mark Rubin took to Twitter to let us know about this.
Dude, no fucking way, dude. Let me see. Hold on. Hello, Xdefiant fans. I am unfortunately here today to announce that Xdefiant will be shutting down starting today, December 3rd, 2024. New downloads and player registrations will no longer be available. We will still release our Season 3 content in the near future. Exact date to be I assume to be announced or something like that. I don't know. And the servers will remain until active until June 3rd of 2025. For those who purchase the Ultimate Founders Pack, you'll receive a full refund. Players who made any purchases within the last 30 days will also be fully refunded. Those refunds should happen automatically within 8 weeks of today. And you can find more details on our official website. Oh, dude. What happened to those gold prestige players? Damn, dude.
Hello, Xdefiant fans. I am unfortunately here today to announce that Xdefiant will be shutting down. Starting today, December 3rd, 2024, new downloads and player registrations will no longer be available. We will still release our Season 3 content in the near future, exact date to be determined, and the servers will remain active until June 3rd, 2025. For those who purchase the Ultimate Founders Pack, you'll receive a full refund. Players who made any purchases within the last 30 days will also be fully refunded. Those refunds should happen automatically within 8 days of today, and you can find more details on our official website, xdefiant.com.
Damn, dude, that fucking sucks in my personal opinion. At least they're getting a refund. Yeah, but at the same time, you know, it's Ubisoft's fault for this shit to be happening. It's their fault for literally, you know, whatever the shit that has been. They literally shut down 2 goddamn studios that did okay, and they were doing pretty alright compared to their other studios.
Wow, I can't believe I'm actually reading.
They shut down the studio that did what is it? The Prince of Persia game. Unfortunately, it of course it didn't meet sales expectations. Xdefiant also did unfortunately, you know, there was a lot of issues with Xdefiant that literally released with like very barely any new stuff. And then also the hype kind of died down for Xdefiant because I don't know what the fuck they were doing in the background the entire time. So yeah, unfortunately, but yeah, at the same time, you know, it's definitely Ubisoft's fault for this situation itself.
This, like, I knew Xdefiant wasn't doing well. It has been doing well for a long time with the launch of Black Ops 6. A lot of people were focused on that, but I eventually planned on going back to Xdefiant after more updates came out.
Same as well. I would have gone back playing Xdefiant when there was like at least like maybe 3 seasons of update or something, you know?
Biggest thing for me when it came to that game was it was built on such amazing ideals, and unfortunately those ideals did not succeed, which is really bad, I think, for the games industry. I think we lost a great competitor in the shooter market because their entire mantra was no skill-based matchmaking, it was free to play, fast-paced arcade gameplay with transparent communication and open dialogue between the developers and the community. The foundation of Xdefiant was incredible, but as we all know, the real problems with the game stemmed from the fact that there was nothing really to do in the game. It was too bare bones despite the fact it was delayed and delayed and delayed. We need
That was one of the big problems too as well. It was just completely delayed, and then apparently they were finishing network hit registration and all this other shit. But then at the same time, throughout the entire thing or so, they didn't put in like new guns, they didn't put in like new maps, they didn't put in like just a new faction or anything. They didn't put enough enough content in general.
Needed some form of progression within Xdefiant. We had no prestige mode, there were no challenges, there were no real rewards. There's a battle pass that you could
You want to? Sorry for pausing so damn much, but you want to know something? Remember that we discussed about that earlier, that Ubisoft is basically has a bunch of juniors or so. Like apparently they just have a bunch of new fresh blood, like who has never played an FPS game or has never played like a certain genre of a game, right? So apparently there's a lot of juniors and very like less senior developers at Ubisoft. Apparently, right? These are all apparently, allegedly, right? But I'm curious if maybe if like Ubisoft like gave Mark Rubin or so a lot of junior developers who did not know anything about like FPS games or much on like FPS in general. So I'm kind of curious if maybe that could also be part of the formula. And then also another thing too on top of that, the one thing I had to criticize about this game specifically, which was one of the big criticisms that I had, right? Why didn't if they're using if they're using right all of the Ubisoft IPs, right? Like the fucking Ghost Recon, the Far Cry series and the Watchdog series, why would you put in a generic NPC instead of the actual characters from the actual game, like the main characters, why wouldn't you put the main characters in this game to drive up more sales, more interest, better skins, more better ideas, imagine if they would have had the Far Cry 3 faction in here or something like that, with with all of the main iconic characters from Far Cry 3, or maybe from Ghost Recon, maybe they have Sam Fisher or whatever, as the Splinter Cell, as part of the Splinter Cell, faction, and I don't know. They could have done something at least. They could have definitely had a more better robust IP for this, but they didn't decide to do any of that stuff. And it's just kind of like, okay, generic NPC number 1 and number 2 and 3 from this game.
could get every season, but other than that, there was nothing really to grind for in the game. I don't think you can survive at this day and age on good gameplay alone. There needs to be robust progression paths and things for players to look forward to, and they started to add those mastery camos, but they were so grindy. Even someone like me who played the game more than most, I'm in the top 5% in the world for pretty much everything with the Xdefiant. I played the game more than most. Even for me, it's just like there's not enough to do here, and these camo grinds are just painfully long. They take absolutely forever, and it just was not fun using one gun over and over and over. It didn't matter how well I did, it still just took forever, and there's no other form of progression in the game. And not to compare the game too much to COD, but look at what's happening with Black Ops 6. Despite skill-based matchmaking, despite the terrible servers, despite the randomness of the XP that changes based on your game mode and the map, people are still playing the game a ton because of the Dark Matter camo grind, not because it takes forever.
Yeah, but I'm not really playing Black Ops 6 as much these days. Just cause I play other games besides Black Ops 6.
But because it's actually pretty engaging. The same is true of the Nebula camo grind and the whatever the name of the camo is in Warzone. People love grinding that stuff. On top of that, you have the battle pass. On top of that, you have prestige mode. You have all the different prestige rewards. And it's not fair to compare Xdefiant to COD because Xdefiant was a free-to-play game that was made by a much smaller team and everything, and Call of Duty's been out for 20 years, but the point still stands. There's a lot to grind for in COD, and I think that's why people play it more so than just for the gameplay. I think people like the actual progression that the game has, and that's an area where Xdefiant really lacked. Going back to Mark Rubin's post here, a few years ago, Ubisoft and the San Francisco dev team embarked on a bold adventure to develop a new arcade shooter called Xdefiant. It was from the start an incredible challenge. Not only were we trying to shake up the genre by removing skill-based matchmaking while bringing back a more old-school arcade shooter experience, but we were—
which actually did felt pretty great. Like the core mechanic of the game actually felt really good to play. Like I never hated the core mechanic of the game itself.
We're also diving into the high-risk, high-reward realm of free-to-play, and for that I want to applaud not only the dev team but also Ubisoft leadership for taking that chance. Free-to-play in particular is a long journey. Many free-to-play games take a long time to find their footing and become profitable. It's a long journey that Ubisoft and the teams working on the game were prepared to make until very recently, but unfortunately, the journey became too much to sensibly continue. I am of course heartbroken to have to be writing this post. Yes, this was a game that has been a personal passion for me for years, and yes, I know that not all challenges lead to victory, but I also want to recognize all of the developers who have been affected by this closure. Each and every one of them is a real person with a real life separate from our own, and
I wouldn't be surprised if they started opening like private servers later, like a few months down the line or something for Xdefiant.
they have all put so
I
much
wouldn't
of
be
their own
surprised.
passion into making this game, and I hope that they can be proud of what they did achieve. I know I will always be proud and grateful to have worked with such a great team, a team that really punched above its weight class, and what they did achieve was truly remarkable. The early response from players when Xdefiant launched was amazing. We broke internal records for the fastest game to surpass 5 million users, and in the end had over 15 million players play our game. That is something to be extremely proud of, especially considering how tough this genre is, so thank you to all the developers who put their passion into making this game. If there's one thing
I feel like there wasn't enough. They could have. I don't know what they were doing from the first beta that I played this game to the technical test before the final release of the game. I have no idea what the fuck they were doing, you know? Because I think if I remember correctly, there wasn't really any new maps at all. Like zero. I'm trying to remember, was there any new maps that they added from the first beta all the way to the release date? I don't think so. There wasn't anything crazy. The cosmetics weren't even that great either. I thought their cosmetics were pretty bad overall.
I hope we can take away from this experience, it's the importance of open, honest communication between developers and players. This player-first mentality, along with respectful, non-toxic conversations between developers and players, has been one of the standout differences that made Xdefiant so special. From my very first post about Xdefiant, this was the vision I wanted to champion, and I hope it leaves a positive mark on how the games industry treats its players and communities. To our players, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to express my deepest gratitude for the incredible community that has grown around Xdefiant. Your passion, creativity, and dedication have inspired us every step of the way. With the utmost love and respect, Mark Rubin, man. Ladies and gentlemen, the guy who tried to go against every other game out there and build something with no skill-based matchmaking, something that would take us back to the old school days of the shooter genre where things were just about your own gun skill and working with your team, no manipulation in the background or anything like that, just fast-paced gameplay on beautiful maps with open and honest communication from the development team. It was such a great premise, it really was, and to this day, Xdefiant is still incredibly fun to play. It's one of those games I think we're really gonna miss, and in retrospect, people are gonna look back years from now and wish that the game actually stuck around longer because of all the positive things that it stood for. Mark did say in that post right there that they had 15 million total players play their game, which is pretty crazy considering the size and the scope of Xdefiant. But I think it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. They had a crazy launch. They broke all sorts of internal Ubisoft records for the amount of people playing the game at launch. Like, the game had every opportunity in the world to be successful, right? They had so many people jump on it right away, but ultimately I think it comes down to the lack of progression in the game. The gameplay itself was fantastic.
I don't think it's just the well, that is probably one of them, but then like one of the other things is like their cosmetics sucked. That was one of the other things, you know. Their cosmetic stores sucked ass. You know, nothing, like, I didn't even want to spend money in the game because none of their cosmetics were anything interesting. Their gun skins were not even that interesting. Like, for me personally, right, I think it just would have been better if they would have used the iconic characters from those iconic IPs into Xdefiant instead of using, you know, whatever these generic looking characters, you know. These are like the most generic looking characters I've ever seen in my entire life, you know. Would have been better if we had all of the iconic characters from, you know, from all the Far Cries, you know, to be in this game, or from the Splinter Cell series, or from or from Rainbow Six Siege, the most recent faction that they added, you know, the Watchdog series. They like just have the iconic characters just show up, you know?
Fantastic. Now, I remember so many people not liking the game when it first came out, and a lot of it really just came down to a skill issue, which was like the craziest part about it. Like, you can say what you want about the different character abilities and whatnot in the factions. That's one thing. But I'll tell you guys what, there's very few people out there that are going 40-5, 40-10 every single match and saying, oh man, this game's terrible, you know? When people hopped on Xdefiant, it was a crazy situation because so many of them were so conditioned by other games out there, including the Call of Duty franchise, and people were exposed pretty quickly for the actual kind of FPS player that they were. If you did not do well in Xdefiant, it's because you just weren't good at the game, which is one of those things I love so much about it. A game with no skill-based matchmaking and very little aim assist. If you're not doing good, it's because you're not that good of a player. You know, it exposed a lot of people, and I think it hurt a lot of egos, to be honest, and that worries me because the Call of Duty franchise obviously is so hell-bent on skill-based matchmaking, and everybody is just basically stuck in their own skill bracket, and when we have a game come out that's kind of a competitor to COD, but not really, it's like in a different genre almost. I mean, it's a shooter game, but it's a hero shooter, essentially. When you have a game like that come out, and it doesn't succeed, it kind of furthers this narrative that skill-based matchmaking,
quote-unquote hero shooter, quote-unquote,
is good for the player base, which is something I so firmly believe is not the case. I think skill-based matchmaking is one of the worst plagues in gaming history. Like, supply drops, loot boxes, that shit was awesome compared to skill-based matchmaking.
I don't know if loot boxes was the greatest thing in the entire world, in my personal opinion. I'll be honest with you. I don't. No. I'm gonna have to disagree with fucking loot boxes being the greatest thing implemented compared to skill-based matchmaking. I don't like both of them in general. Because, like, the problem is with loot boxes, right? The issue that I had with loot boxes is that they would put the seasonal, like, weapons and everything in the supply crate. And in order for you to get the weapon, you have to pull it from the supply crate. You either have to spend money in order to get it, or be really, really, really lucky to get the weapon out of the supply crate.
You know, this is like by far the worst thing to happen to the Call of Duty franchise. So to see Xdefiant fail is a bit disheartening for me. I was hoping this would be the kind of game that, you know, I never thought it'd blow.
I hated that too as well. I stopped playing Call of Duty at the mid-season of Black Ops 4. Because of the supply crate. I was just like, I'm so tired of this. I don't want to continue playing this anymore. So I completely stopped. I retired playing Call of Duty. I picked it up on Black Ops 6, but like even then it just doesn't feel the same. It just really does not feel the same.
Blow up or anything. It was never going to be the Cod Killer. I don't know where this whole idea of a mantra for the Cod Killer would be. I suppose it comes down to this, and it's a little inside baseball here, but YouTube, that's what it comes down to. If you're a Call of Duty,
it's just the internet. The internet calls everything, oh, this is going to be the Battlefield Killer, or this is going to be the Genshin Killer. Oh, this is going to be the Cod Killer, you know? It's just the internet. The internet always says, insert certain new game going to kill old game, you know? Everybody should be realizing that nobody can kill a juggernaut, only itself it can kill, okay? Call of Duty cannot be killed, it can only kill itself, okay? And it was doing pretty well too for quite a while, until it decided to sort of change a little bit. Sort of change. Not a lot, but sort of change a little bit.
YouTuber and you want to talk about a different game, you always have to somehow tie it to COD for your Call of Duty audience. That's why when most people would make Xdefiant videos, it was like, the Cod Killer? Is this game better than COD? Like, you couldn't hear Xdefiant without Call of Duty being in the same sentence, essentially, which I think is where people got this idea that they thought Xdefiant was supposed to be the Cod Killer. It's a free-to-play hero shooter by Ubisoft. It was never meant to be the Cod Killer. You know, it's just going to be another side game, another alternative, and I had hoped that this game would be around for years and years, and we can watch the evolution of it and have it be one of those games where when you really invested yourself into it in the early stages of the game's life cycle, that you would be heavily rewarded for that later on in the game's life cycle. Picture something like Fortnite, for example. You know, some of the stuff that you had from like the OG Season 1 and Season 2, some of the skins you got back then and some of the things you were able to experience back then are some of the most heralded and coveted items within Fortnite now. You know, if you were around for like the OG days and you're still playing today, like if somebody sees one of those original skins popping up in their lobbies, you know, you stand out. It's really cool, you know, and I was hoping that Xdefiant would end up being one of those games where, you know, 2 years from now, we're still playing Xdefiant. We have all these maps, we have all these guns, all these progression paths, all these different things to go for and things to do, and it all mattered. It's similar
Yeah, but like all those, like even if the game lasted for like another, like let's say another like 3 years, right? Let's be honest here. The first season of the skins sucked ass. The second season of the skins also suck ass. so so like there wasn't really like I'd rather spend money on Stradnova skins than spend money on Xdefiant skins because I prefer the Stradnova skins over the Xdefiant any day of the week, to be honest.
To how we had carry forward here in the COD franchise, that's one of the things I don't like about the current setup of COD is, at the end of Black Ops 6, if there is no carryover, then Dark Matter just goes away. I mean, you can always go back and play, but when you play the new game, everything you did previously doesn't count anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. Xdefiant was setting itself up to be a game where the things you do now.
Call of Duty, baby. That's how it is every single time. Call of Duty, man. You spend hundreds of dollars of skins or so in Call of Duty, never transfers over to the next Call of Duty, and well, Lord behold, you have to do it again. That's why I've never spent money on Call of Duty ever.
Now matter 3 years from now, and I liked that idea, and I like the core gameplay is
Dubstep, did you hear the news? Xdefiant is closing, Dubstep. It's closing. It's shutting down, man.
well. The core gameplay is some of the best I've ever played when it comes to an online shooter. It was always fun, it was always enjoyable, but ultimately there was just not enough to keep people playing long term. And while there are certain people out there who have been playing quite a bit and really grinding the game and everything, there just wasn't enough wide range appeal to keep the lights on for the Xdefiant team. I personally talked to a lot of the people that worked on this game, and they're wonderful people. They really are, and it has to be horrible to have this project that you've been working on for years and years and years being shut down. Now you're gonna be
It sucks. I'm not gonna say it doesn't suck, but it actually does suck, to be honest. It really does suck.
moved on to a different project or maybe a different studio. Like, it's a real time of uncertainty for the people that worked so hard on this game, and here we are in December.
The only person we have to blame is Ubisoft. Ubisoft is the only people we have to blame because they always keep making the worst decisions possible. They made an NFT game, right? That's number one, right? They released a Star Wars game that should have been easily a W. That's the most easiest thing that you can do with a Star Wars game, but unfortunately they ruined it as well, But at the same time, I don't put faults to them because Disney was the one that made the final decisions about the game itself. No, they did. The problem is, right, these were my main complaints, right? I've already said this earlier in the video, right? I love repeating myself because, well, Lord behold, we always have people coming in at the same time, right? This was my recommendation, right? They should have brought in the iconic characters from the Ubisoft franchise into Xdefiant. It would have done so well if they would have brought the iconic characters. That's number one. Number two, their skins are dog shit. I'm sorry. Whoever is their art department or their character, character skin designers, I am sorry, but those skins are terrible. Whoever designed the weapon skins, I am sorry, but those are still fucking terrible. I am sorry, but they're pretty fucking bad. Number four, there was not enough content. That was definitely one of the biggest issues that we had specifically about this game. There was not enough maps for at least for most of the seasons. Well, they fucking released one map a single month or something. You had to wait 3 months in order for all 3 of the maps to come out. And even then, it was only for specific game modes for those to have maps. So it's just kind of yeah, not really super great in my personal opinion, But that's just me anyways. On the release of Xdefiant, there was not enough maps, not enough weapons. They were all the same thing from the first beta. Fucking the factions, there wasn't even another extra faction or something like that on the release date or something, There was just not enough shit on the release date itself, There was no mass. They said they were gonna add prestige leveling or so. They never added that. They said they were gonna add, the camo stuff, right? The fucking gold camo and whatever. Just took way too fucking long to grind, So
Christmas is coming around and these people are losing their jobs. That's freaking terrible. That's horrible. And I hope that they can get invested in.
They're not losing their jobs. They're losing their jobs in June. Not yet. They're not losing their jobs just yet. They have enough time until June, okay? So, take it easy there, cowboy. It's not like they're gonna lose their job in January, okay? They got until basically the 3rd season.
into a new project and land on their feet and be passionate about something else and put all their amazing skills into a new game, into a new project, and continue creating, because what we saw in Xdefiant was fantastic. It just fell short in certain categories, and I think it was a big learning experience for a lot of the people that worked on the game. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for this video here today. Kind of a somber one overall, but yeah, Xdefiant is shutting down, and I know a lot of you guys actually found me through Xdefiant. A lot of you guys obviously knew me from the COD stuff, but I did see a major uptick in subscribers here in the channel when Xdefiant was first coming out.
That's
People
crazy.
wanted to hear about Xdefiant, wanted to see the updates, the news, and all that stuff happening, and I'm happy I was able to provide that for you guys. But unfortunately, the game is no longer downloadable. You cannot make a new account for Xdefiant or anything like that, and the Season 3 stuff will be coming out relatively soon. And I should probably do a video checking that stuff out, kind of seeing what they had planned, what they were going to be doing. But ultimately, the game is going to be shutting down in about 6 months' time, and nobody else is able to join the game. It's basically the people that already have the game can play it for the next 6 months, and then it's gone forever.
Yeah, we'll probably check out the season 3 Xdefiant, you know, just to say, you know, just to take a look at what it had or what they were planning to do.
And that's pretty damn sad. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this video. Leave your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments. Thank you all so much.
I don't know, you're gonna have to check on that.
You guys all have a wonderful day.
That's crazy. I still have it downloaded though. Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at it to see. Damn, that's crazy. Honestly, that is just crazy. Ubisoft, you are ceased to amaze me of like the decisions that you do, dude. Honestly, the decisions that you actually like make for your just for your games in general is crazy. You decide to shut down the studio for Prince of Persia. You decide to shut down the studio for this game now. What's gonna be next, you know? But you're still trying to release that, you know, that terrible game, you know, Assassin's Creed Shadows, you know. That's like quote unquote historically accurate, you know. That's crazy. That's honestly crazy. You did good, Mark, Rubin, and team. Thank you for the glass and ice water and the hell we can call the PvP shooter world. And I'm still not going to Black Ops 6. So basically, this is what... So if you are published by Ubisoft, Lord and behold, you know. Lord and behold, you know. Be prepared to get shut down as well. But yeah, that's crazy. Anyways, that's the end of the video. You guys can comment, like, subscribe, do all that fancy jazzy stuff. And damn, dude, Xdefiant is shut. I kind of had a feeling or so that it was going to shut down. Ever since Ubisoft is going through, you know, the seven rings of hell, you know. You can't seem to they can't seem to you know, they just can't seem to personally, honestly, you know, try to get their shit together. What a sad time. What an actual sad time. Damn, dude. Crazy.